So welcome to the CANOVI carrot variety trial results and breeding update webinar. We'll get started. I'm happy to be here today to share with you what this season's orange and red carrot trials have showed us, and then to update you on a few of the carrot breeding projects we have going on. I'm Solveig Hansen. I'm the project coordinator for this project. I'm at UBC, University of British Columbia, here in Vancouver, snowy, slushy Vancouver today. So originally, the goal of these trials was to test the CANOVI orange and red populations that we've been developing for some time alongside commercial hybrid and open pollinated cultivars to see how ready they are for commercialization. However, we and most of you found out pretty quickly that we had a germination issue with both populations due to some thrips, a lot of thrips in our greenhouse seed production that resulted in almost no germination on the red population and roughly 30% on the orange population. So our adjusted goal became to compare the commercial cultivars that we were trialing, the hybrids and open pollinated varieties, to see if we can detect any patterns of performance by region, or identify any open pollinated varieties that were competitive on some or all farms with the hybrids. There were several components to this year's trial. First were the on-farm trials that many of you participated in. We trialed 5 orange varieties, 6 red. We asked you to plant a 12-foot plot for each variety. About 30 participants evaluated both orange and red carrots using the seed-linked app, and you submitted ratings on a 1 to 5 scale for traits like germination, vigor, appearance, yield. Roughly a third of you also submitted quantitative data on yield and some notes on maturity and marketability. So that is what you see. Oh, I haven't debuted my pointer. I made my pointer bigger and outlined in orange, so it kind of looks like a carrot. I hope that brings you a little joy. It's bringing me joy. Okay, to supplement that information, we did some replicated trials on the UBC Farm Hub site. We wanted to trial a few more orange cultivars to get an initial look at them. And then we also used 2 harvest dates. We did a 74-day harvest, which is in line with the published maturity dates of most of these varieties. And then a later one, about 3 weeks later, just to get some kind of gauge for how well they held in the field, although it's only on 1 farm, so it's only a suggestion. So the orange carrot breeding project that, well, Alex started back in 2018, started with selecting 4 parents. These are examples of the 4 parents that we grew this year. So you can see that we've made, well, when we show you the next slides, you'll see that we've made some progress in terms of combining dark orange color and this nonce shape. This is Rumba with the nonce shape. This has nice dark color, but unfortunately really rough appearance this year. After selecting the parents, selecting the parents in 2018, there were 2 years of mass selection, which just means growing the whole population, selecting individuals. So 2 cycles of that. Then last year we did these family selections where we harvested seed from each plant separately, looked at it separately, and then first selected among the families, and then within the families, the best individuals from the best families, and then recombined that into our population that was decimated by thrips. But there is a way forward. My mouse does not want to take us forward. Why is that happening? There we go. Okay. So, as you know, we had germination issues this year, but we put in twice as many row feet as we normally would have in a couple of different plantings. These are roots from the later harvest. So this was at 88 days when we harvested these. From this population, we tasted everything, also selected for shape. These up here are some of our selected roots. The ones on the bottom we excluded for reasons of shape, basically. And then the ones in the middle that we turned sideways are ones that one or more of us thought tasted funny or weren't something we wanted to eat again. So we ended up saving 74 roots, which is, if all of them survive, enough to make a pollination cage. So it'll be 5th generation seed in the greenhouse this winter. But we also have seed saved from last year when we did the family selections. So we'll plant out seed from the families that we selected, so the good families. So then next summer, we'll have both roots from the new seed population and roots from the good families, or the ones that we selected a couple of years ago. And we can select from both of those to try to carry forward both genetic diversity and the traits that we want in this orange nut population. We also had a serendipitous discovery in the CANOVI orange population last year, in that a couple of the families, or several of them, had occasional yellow roots. I call them glassy yellows. And we got curious about how many of these would pop up if we started crossing some of these individuals. So we made some biparental crosses of orange roots from families that had yellow roots showing up. And we got some of them that looked like this, that had a pretty even distribution of these kind of golden yellow carrots and orange carrots. And I thought they were beautiful, especially when you can get them to like twine together like that. That's amazing. So we took 115 roots. So this top row is our selections from these families. We had 3 reciprocal crosses, meaning that we took roots from both seed parents of each cross. And those were derived from 2 of the families from the CANOVI orange population. So I'm very curious to see how this will develop in terms of both color assortment and just general vigor. I don't know if the genetic base is too narrow or not, but we'll find out. We've got enough roots to save to make a population in the greenhouse. And this was also extremely delicious. Like, these were crisp, succulent, juicy. Yeah, some of the best tasting carrots I've had. And I'm finishing the last ones from our October 3rd harvest, like right now. So they hold well and still taste good after 2 months. The CANOVI red population was started back in 2020 in response to farmers observing a high rate of bolting and red carrots in these latitudes. So in 2020, Chris, who's right here, identified some promising parents down in El Centro at Phil Simon's breeding nursery. He's our collaborating carrot breeder from the University of Wisconsin. So right before the pandemic, Chris selected these parents. They were grown from seed in that summer, and then the first mass pollination was made that winter. So it's had a couple generations of recombining. Obviously, all of us had very poor luck in the field this summer, except for David, who I think did an amazing seed cleaning job on the CANOVI red seed and managed to winnow out the few plump seeds and plant them. And when he harvested just earlier this week, before the snowstorm that we got, we have plantable stecklings. Like, they're not big, but they are well filled out, and I think they'll store well for the rest of the season until it's time to plant them. And it is worth a try. So here they are going into refrigeration, and we'll try those in the greenhouse this winter to make seed. So this is to say, hooray for having many people in many locations working on this project. This is the kind of functional redundancy that we are building into this seed network. That means when things mess up at a lot of places, they still, I think, have gone right at one place. We can also plant seed that we've saved from previous years of this population, as we're doing with the orange population, so that next year's selection can happen from both, to protect against any genetic bottlenecking we got from this thrips issue, because it could be that this great seed was from only a few plants, and that could be problematic down the road. Then last year, we identified this really cool inbred. It was suggested by Phil, our plant breeding collaborator. We trialed it. It had almost no carrot rust fly damage in plots where we saw a lot of damage on other varieties. So we thought, what would happen if we cross this by some CANOVI orange individuals? Maybe we'll get something interesting. We did get something that looks interesting. Like, I think these colors are really kind of cool. These are a little over mature. We could have harvested these about 3 weeks earlier, I think. The flavor is good. It's mild. It's rich. It's a little more starchy than some of the juicy sweet ones, but it's really acceptable. It's not rust fly resistant. Unfortunately, that trait seemed to stay with the parent. So there are a few strategies we could try. We could try crossing some of these individuals back to the other parent. We could make some small masses. We saved 37 roots. There just weren't enough families that looked interesting to make enough for a greenhouse cage, but we could make some small masses, some biparental crosses. If some of you are interested, we could send you the roots and you can do what you like with them. But that was an interesting investigation or experiment.